Newton's Apple. For our next story, we sent naturalist Nancy Gibson to the rocky coast of Northern California, the location of one of the most advanced marine aquariums, the Monterey Bay Aquarium. This area is also home to some of the ocean's most playful and clever mammals, sea otters.
Once nearly extinct in California due to hunting, there are now over 1,500 sea otters thriving on this rocky coast. A program at the Monterey Bay Aquarium is contributing to the success of the sea otters through education and the rehabilitation of orphaned or abandoned pups for release back to the wild. My host was Dr. Tom Williams, the aquarium's veterinarian. This is a slice of paradise for me, and it looks like it's a slice of paradise for some otters out there, too.
This is good habitat. This is beautiful. What you're looking at here, the otters like to hang out in the rocky shores. And so the first part here is the intertidal area. Then you see the rocks, and just beyond the rocks you can see these big kelp beds out in there. And this is where the otters usually hang out, right out in the kelp beds.
And they're doing that because that's where their food is, right?
That's usually where their food is. They'll eat about 20 to 24% of their body weight.
Every day?
Every day. And what this is they need a lot of food in order to have enough energy to keep them warm. So this is why they tend to eat.
Well, I also know what keeps them warm. It's a nice fur coat.
An otter does not have a layer of fat. So therefore they need their fur coat and rely on this entirely to keep them warm. Look at out there now, you see an otter mom with her baby on her chest.
Looks like two of them out there.
You bet. And the otter pup will spend about 80% of the time on the mother's chest. And
is it true they actually will wrap the young one up in the kelp weeds and then while they're out fishing?
When the mother wants to get some food, she will put them in a kelp bed, wrap a piece of kelp around them to stay there so the surge won't wash them on shore or whatever.
In spite of the mother's best efforts, every year the aquarium gets about 5 to 10 orphaned or abandoned otter pups. Several of these pups have been raised to be in the sea otter exhibit. One otter, Milk Dud, was abandoned at 1.5 days old because she was a twin, and sea otter mothers are unable to take care of two pups. Aquarist Julie Heimer introduced her to me. So the tail acts as a rudder, and the back feet act are webbed, so that
propels her through the water. Milk Dud.
What about her ears? They close when she goes down?
Yes, they do close when she dives down.
Wild otters spend their entire lives in the ocean, and about 20 to 30% of their time diving for food. Now it was feeding time for Milk Dud, and what a feast otters enjoy, including clams, crabs, sea urchins, and mussels. And immediately, their first reaction is to turn, isn't it?
Well, what they're doing is they're cleaning their chest area off because that's where the food was and it got soiled, and that's real important to them. So they roll to, like, clean the table of all the little leftovers.
Sea otters eat by using their chest as a dining room table. They are the only sea mammal that has learned to use a tool. In the wild, they place a rock on their chest for breaking seashells. But unfortunately, Milk Dud and her fellow otters beat their food against the exhibit windows, so they only get shell food when they are in a holding tank. So, this is probably your favorite. That's abalone, isn't it?
These are abalone trimmings that the restaurants don't use, and it is their favorite, and it's real good for their teeth because it's crunchy.
It's good she got every piece.
Oh, yeah. And she'll spend 5 minutes down below looking for all the scraps she missed.
How long can it stay down?
In the wild, it's up 4 to 5 minutes, and if they're threatened or they're really trying to get some type of food, normally they're in shallow water and they'll stay down about a minute. That's all they need.
Although some otters like Milk Dud have been raised to be on exhibit, the goal at the aquarium is to rehabilitate the orphans for release to the wild.
When he's hungry, he just eats real well.
The aquarium kept this tape of an orphan named Murphy to document the rearing process. Dates on the tape show his day-to-day progress. Here, 3-week-old Murphy is being fed a very rich concentration of whipping cream, ground clams, vitamins, and minerals. This approximates the formula of a sea otter's milk. Aquarists had to take over for the mother to keep Murphy's fur in good condition. Otters must learn to keep their fur groomed, or they will die of hypothermia. Murphy also had to develop his swimming skills. He started out floating on his stomach. Then one day, he rolled over on his back.
There's an otter for you.
He hasn't figured out how to move it all.
Oh, look
yeah.
at that guy.
As a young pup, he bobbed on the surface like a cork. But as he grew older, he learned to dive. At about 3 months old, Murphy was able to groom and feed himself. He was put outside to learn to be self-reliant and to get to know other otters. When he was about 6 months old and 20 pounds, it was time for Murphy to be released to the wild. Most of the released otters are adapting well to their wild environment, but Dr. Williams reminded me that life is still precarious for the California sea otters.
It's a threatened population. The reason that it's threatened is because of the possibility of an oil spill.
Oh, yes.
They don't have fat. They need their fur. Oil would stop the insulation, and they would die of hypothermia. So therefore, they're a threatened population, but they seem to be growing steadily. Good. I like to end on a good note. You betcha.
Newton's Apple is made possible by a grant from DuPont, makers of better things for better living, and also by this station and other public television stations.